Now joining me is Cam Inman, 49ers beat reporter for the Bay Area News Group, San Jose Mercury News. Cam, you're familiar with House of Horns. You were here, maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? I lost track, but it wasn't that long ago. Cam, how are
No.
you doing? I think you've had a big trade. You were in West Virginia, a 2-game losing streak, a nice win for the 49ers on Monday Night Football against the Rams. So much happened, but it feels like I just saw you. I'm not complaining. I like having you here. How you doing, Cam?
Yeah, isn't it amazing that this series is going to be done before Halloween, right? Like day before Halloween, but it's just like I'm so used to it coming down to like the regular season finale for so many years between these teams, and it's going to be like, that's it already? Okay. I guess that gives us like some extra importance for this game because both teams need that win.
Yeah, it just feels like kind of a letdown or a shame too soon before Halloween,
Yeah.
like you mentioned. And I know both teams are struggling. The Rams are coming off the bye week, 3-3. Like I mentioned, the Niners are 3-4. But there's still so much to determine in the NFC West. But I'll segue to this massive trade because I haven't talked to you, and I'm very curious about it, Cam, with Christian McCaffrey. And the crazy
Yeah.
part, he already played a game, so.
Yeah.
The Rams are going to see him 2 weeks in a row because McCaffrey was on the Panthers the last time they played a game. But how did that, turn out, that trade? Were you a little surprised? Did you hear some whispers, or just kind of give me that 1 week of hectic, crazy news for you with Cam?
Okay, so
McCaffrey.
I mean, we were getting the rumor mill was connecting the Niners to McCaffrey for probably a week or two, and it's kind of like, are you kidding? Like, this is a 49er team that like, they go through 5 running backs a season because they get hurt in Shanahan's offense. Why on earth would they spend money to bring in this guy? And it's like, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Like, the Rams need somebody, the Bills need somebody. And a couple things I think factored into this. Besides the fact that they kept him from the Rams getting him, I think that obviously may have factored into part of it. And, maybe that cost him an extra draft pick. That's fine. But Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have known Christian McCaffrey and the McCaffrey family for decades. And they're deeply familiar with him. And this was not a position of need the way some others are. But at the same time, what McCaffrey can do for this offense and really jolt it alive, because they have enough guys they're paying like these all-pro salaries to, with Kittle and Deebo and Trent Williams and Kyle Juszczyk, that they need to get moving on offense, and they don't seem to be able to do it. It's just like, okay, that makes a lot of sense that they do go after, what could be a generational talent in Christian McCaffrey if he's healthy.
Yeah, going off of that, Cam, it is a little strange, this amazing zone outside running scheme from Shanahan that you could plug in anybody. Raheem Mostert had 200 yards in an NFC title game not too long ago.
Yeah.
In this scheme, you got Jeff Wilson, Elijah Mitchell. These guys just produced, so that was a little surprising there with the McCaffrey trade. But do you think maybe part of it was like, he's here for the next 3 years. It's not just a one and done deal. He's so versatile out of the backfield. He could play wide receiver. He's like a Deebo Samuel, but an actual running back. Is that part of it too, you think?
Yeah, because Deebo, it's interesting. They're the dual threat guys, right? The rushing and receiving, and but they said right away he's not a rental just for this year. It could be just for a year and a half, to be honest. They can get out of it because $12 million is a big salary to pay for a running back in a system that churns through so many running backs. But they're committed to him through this year and next year. I mean, they gave away basically the rest of their draft class in 2023 to get him. And it's not that they've borrowed Les needs FM picks credo, but they kind of have. And it's kind of, and they're not going to apologize for it. And that's fine. They shouldn't have to. It's just now it's going to be up to Christian McCaffrey to produce. And I think it's actually more pressure on Kyle Shanahan because for years, everybody's talked about what a great offensive mind he is. And honestly, the only time that seems to come out is when he plays the Rams and Sean McVay, where he has to outsmart him. Well, we got a vacuum going here in the Levi Stadium Lounge, by the way.
Nice view.
We're going to take you on an inside tour of Levi Stadium.
Well, Cam, while you take the walk, I'll get Victor here and settled in. So take your time, and Victor will ask you a question about these 49ers because they're on a 2-game losing streak. We got to figure them out. So
the Rams or the Raiders? Or I mean, the Rams or the Niners?
The 49ers, the Rams, all of them.
Yeah.
But Victor, thank you for joining the show.
Hey, Victor.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You like this? It's a moving cam.
There you go, moving cam.
This is we're really testing out the Levi Stadium Wi-Fi.
But Victor, when Cam is ready, go ahead and ask him about what's going on there with the Chiefs loss and the Falcons loss, because I don't understand this 49ers team.
Yeah, I wanted to know, is it more about the players coming back from injury, or is it just what's been the problem lately for the 49ers, especially on defense, because they were really good to start the season?
I would say, defensively, that's been the issue, is the injuries, right? Because they had about 7 or 8 would-be starters out. Welcome to the 49er media room, by the way.
Nice.
My seat's down there somewhere. We'll huddle up down here.
Much bigger than the Rams one.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty nice. I mean, we've been in here, this is year 9 in it. So, anyhow, the defensive injuries really killed them. Oh gosh, I need to get something to stand this up on. Anyhow, but the other fact is, I mean, the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, they finally faced a pretty good offense, and they got shredded. They gave up 6 touchdowns and I think 7 or 8 drives right off the bat. It was just everybody that was playing with, even Nick Bosa was healthy, but the Chiefs outsmarted them, and the Niners, their ends lined up so wide. Andy Reid was smart. They faked like they were going to block him, and they just ran right by him. And it really exposed, some of these mobile quarterbacks. What they'll do is they'll wait for the Niners to pressure from the outside, and the quarterbacks will just start up the middle. And then the fact that their cornerback situation has become pretty dire in the last couple of weeks. They lost Emmanuel Mosley to ACL 2 games ago in Carolina. And then Travarius Ward, who's been playing at a phenomenal level, they picked him up from KC. He hurt his groin in Atlanta, but he rushed himself back to face his former team, the Chiefs, and didn't go so well for him. So, and then the defensive line has not been able to stop the run. It's not going to be an issue this week if the Rams don't have anybody to run the football. So, I mean, Matthew Stafford can just air it out, and like he usually does against them. But, the Niners have a way of getting a pick 6 off the Rams. I think they've done it like 4 years in a row. So that was my advice. If people are like, how are the Niners going to bounce back? I go, just get another pick 6 and beat the Rams again. It's just ho-hum. That's what they do.
Yeah, Cam, when we asked him about the Ufanga pick 6, Sean McVay was like, "Yeah, it was just like last year. All these flashbacks, all these pick 6." So it was Monday Night Football.
But it wasn't just. I mean, Jimmy Ward's got one.
Yeah.
Devon Kinlaw's got one. Hufanga, Fred Warner. That's 4 guys in like 4 years, 3 years. It's ridiculous. So, and Stafford's, I think, thrown. I'm not sure about this. I looked it up the other day, but he's thrown like 50 pick 6s in his career. Obviously, he's had a long career, but it's.
Oh yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah,
but the funny thing is that Jimmy Ward pick 6 was on the right side of the field. It was kind of I guess a screenplay that wasn't supposed to be a screenplay. So it was very similar. So Sean McVay and his memory there was having flashbacks. But let me ask you about that, Cam. It seems like the 49ers need a get right game. And when they play the Rams in the regular season, it's always a get-right game. I don't care what happened the first 2 weeks with the 49ers, because when they play the Rams in the regular season, they usually figure it out and they win the game. Obviously, the NFC title game is a different thing, and that's what you want to win. But this Rams team, they're coming off the bye week, and people are forgetting, like, they couldn't protect Stafford. They don't have Cam Akers. So when you have Nick Bosa, and maybe that's all you need to beat this Rams team, do you think they're going to go off the same blueprint, because they were blitzing heavy in that Monday Night Football game?
It was interesting. They did in that game. They didn't blitz a lot the last 2 weeks, and their defense didn't look as good. So it'll be interesting to see if they get Eric Armstead back on the interior of the defensive line. He's a guy that's not a household name, but he's a team captain. He's been really pivotal for their line. And that could change how they approach it. I mean, they could probably blitz a lot, but they seem to find a way, like you said, against the Rams, and they're going to be in the SoFi Beach House, the 49ers Southern California vacation home, where, I mean, it's going to be, what is it like? It's usually at least 50% red. And the Rams have to go to the silent count. It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, even in Atlanta and Carolina, those are not big Niner hotbeds, but those stadiums were bipartisan as well. So, I mean, it helped them in Carolina. It didn't make a difference in Atlanta because Atlanta was running all over them. See, that's the thing, that the Rams, if they could take anything from how teams have attacked the Niners the last 2 weeks, it's by running the football. And if they can get those linemen moving rather than be stationary and not being able to protect Stafford and just run at the Niners, that might be their best shot at it.
Go ahead, Vic.
I wanted to ask you about Fred Warner. I know he's turned into the best linebacker in the NFL. How is the season going, and do you have any cool stories, kind of like what you had for us about Ufanga with Fred Warner?
Fred Warner is not having a great year. He because of the defense last 2 weeks, it's been really exposed, and that's left Fred out of position to make tackles. It's been very uncharacteristic. He'd say so himself. Dre Greenlaw was off to a better start as a linebacker at the start of this season, was getting more tackles than Fred. Fred's still the leader of the defense. He's got the green dot, relaying it, trying to fire guys up on the sidelines. This defense was top ranked for about the first 5-6 weeks. Then they got handled pretty well by the Falcons run game, and then the Chiefs destroyed them by the pass and the run. And Fred's a very prideful guy, stands up, talks to everybody, probably more so than anybody else on that defense, trying to explain everything. But he's not off to a great start. Last year, he wasn't off to a great start either. And then he kind of rallied. There was a lot of pressure on him last season because he got this big contract extension before the year. And then, later in the season, he was, imploring his teammates that you had to start making plays. He started forcing takeaways there late in the season, even in Green Bay in the playoffs. So, he's still an elite linebacker. Whether he's the best in the league right now or not, it doesn't look like it, but that can change week to week, right? So, and it's about who surrounds you. And right now, the Niners defense has not been playing well around him the last 2 weeks.
Cam, this will be the last question. I know you're busy, and I think you're in the whisper voice right now because you're in the media center.
There's no
you don't want
our colleagues at McDonald's down the street.
Okay. Okay. This will be the last one, but we cannot end the show without a Jimmy G question. We haven't asked you about Jimmy G. Obviously, we've talked about the offense, but kind of similar with what I asked you about the 49ers always getting it right with the Rams. Like Jimmy G is part of that. He usually figures out against the Rams. And you think he'll bounce back this week. And the last thing, I think I saw Deebo Samuel dealing with an injury. He was big in that Monday Night Football game where he had that 57 or whatever it was touchdown on Jalen Ramsey missing a tackle and all that. So if Deebo's not playing, how does it affect this 49ers offense with Jimmy G?
Yeah, let's start with the Deebo thing because Deebo's been a Rams destroyer. Yeah, he's never lost to him except in the NFC Championship game. Same with Jimmy. So Deebo was reported to have a hamstring issue on Monday, so we're going to keep an eye on that during the week. Jimmy's been playing like Jimmy Garoppolo. He's aired it out a little bit more than he has in the past, but it hasn't been just phenomenal. The receivers have dropped too many passes. Jimmy threw a goal line interception just before halftime against the Chiefs that had everybody. He's such a polarizing quarterback up here. Everybody wants to think that was supposed to win Super Bowls because of the contract he got, and he didn't. But the fact that he was here after Trey Lance broke his ankle in week 2, and then it led him to a win against the Rams, and you just never know what you're going to get from Jimmy, especially if he gets pressured. If Aaron Donald's coming at him, and he hasn't had great success against the Niners, but he did in the NFC Championship game, right, when it really counted. So it's like the Niners can say all they want that they can dominate Aaron Donald, but he's got that Super Bowl ring to show he can dominate them when he needs to. The Garoppolo interception was concerning just because you've seen that in the past from him, where he'll throw up a ball that he really has no business throwing. And everybody just killed him for it because it cost them a potential touchdown. The Chiefs didn't convert it into points, whereas Mahomes threw a touchdown. The Niners converted it into a touchdown, and nobody had a problem with it. So it's just people want to just destroy Garoppolo for not being a 400-yard quarterback every week, that there's going to be a bad interception, even though he may throw 1 or 2 touchdown passes. And you sense a little bit more with him kind of cutting it loose this year because he knows he's a short timer, that this is last year he was supposed to be the short timer that Lance was going to take over, but now he really kind of controls his own destiny. Whether if he plays great, he can kind of pick where he wants to go, even if it's back here, which would be surprising, but maybe not. And so he wants to take more downfield shots. It's just they have a rookie wide receiver in Danny Gray, where if Deebo's hurting, they could put Gray in and use him a little bit more, maybe on some jet sweeps. Or the guy has not had a touch or not had a catch yet this season. He was a 3rd-round pick, like a 4-3 guy out of SMU. They're trying to get him in this offense. It just hasn't worked. But now that McCaffrey's aboard, I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo's main role is to get the ball into McCaffrey or Deebo or Brandon Ayuk or Kittle's hands. There's really no pressure on Garoppolo. It's on all these other guys to finally make plays, because these are they have the all pros. Just get the ball to them and let them do what they got to do.
Yeah, just make quick throws, find the open space for Deebo and CMC and make it work. And the last time the Rams played the 49ers, Jimmy took one hit. It was at Aaron Donald when he was left open, but no sack. So they figured that out. But Cam, you're busy, and I appreciate your time as always. You're the first ever guest on COMPAS on the Beat. Now you're the first ever 2-time guest on House of Horns. So we love it. Thank you for the time, Cam.